and welcome to Series 6 of Property Elevator, the show where we give budding property developers the chance to pitch their deals to our 6 seasoned property professionals. These are John Howard, Ranjan Bhattacharya, Paul Mahoney, Nicholas Wallwork, Hayley Andrews, and Scott Marshall, or who we call our property investment angels. Now, we all know property is not a game for the faint-hearted. With hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds at stake, yes, the rewards can be great, but if it goes wrong, it can go very wrong very quickly.
I am Scott Marshall, founder and managing director of Roma Finance, one of the UK's leading specialist finance non-bank lenders. In my career, I've done almost 20,000 transactions. And as Roma Finance, we've done 2,500 transactions for almost £500 million worth of property deals. I'm here because I love to lend. I like the fact that you have not said it in part of your pitch, but you're a chartered management accountant. You invest a lot in yourself. You invest a lot in your education in terms of the property courses that you've been on.
Hi, I'm Paul Mahoney. I'm the founder and chairman of the UK's leading property investment advisory company, Nova Financial Group. I'm also an experienced property investor and developer.
I mean, the 10% return is about as bad as one of Ranjan's jokes, but just from the perspective of being an experienced investor and developer, that just devalues us completely.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Wallwork, investor, developer and co-founder of wealthlabs.co.uk, one of the UK's leading wealth creation and property training companies.
In terms of your build costs and things like that, how have you split between, say, the existing build and the new build? In terms of sort of the construction cost, how much higher is the new build element that you've quoted?
My name's Ranjan Bhattacharya. I'm an investor and developer for the last 30 years. I specialise in converting defunct commercial buildings to residential use. I'm the founder of Succeed in Property, the UK's leading training course provider for commercial property investors and developers. I agree with what everyone said. It's a debt deal, this one, not a equity deal. And the reason for that is because you've de-risked it. You've already owned the site and you've got the planning and you're ready to go and you're stripped out.
Hi, I'm Hayley Andrews. I'm the co-founder of Your Freedom Empire, a business and property training organisation. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm a developer and property entrepreneur.
With a good architect, you will be able to get 7 2-beds. I know that they will sell better. I know that they will rent better.
Hello, I'm John Howard and I've been a property developer and investor for over 40 years. During that time, I bought and sold over 4,000 properties in 84 different locations across the UK. That makes me the most experienced and most successful angel of them all. Although I wasn't in the studio, you will be hearing from me after each pitch. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the series finale of Property Elevator. We've seen loads of deals and we've had loads of drama. Let's see what we've got in store today. Walter, welcome to Property Elevator.
Thank you.
Tell me firstly, where have you come from today?
From London today. So what I want to talk about today is we're looking to ask for £670,000 to help us buy a site to build 3 detached family homes, each with 5 bedrooms. The GDV is about 2.7 million and the expected profit is about £240,000 after tax.
Well, we're going to send you in shortly, wishing you all the best in
Thank
there,
you.
and I'll speak to you when you get out.
So off to Wales we go for 3 new build houses. Walter is coming in to see us. He's after £670,000 for 50% profit share. Should we meet him?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Walter Davis. I'm here looking to ask you to invest £670,000 to help us buy and develop 3 houses in South Wales. Some information about the deal. The site has just come onto the market. It was off market until this morning. We were hoping to secure it off market, but we haven't been able to. The 3 houses are all 5 bedrooms. One is slightly larger than the other 2. It's in a town called Porthcawl, which is just west of Cardiff. It's a very desirable town in South Wales, one of the most affluent. The location is about 5 to 10 minutes walk to the beach, and it's a very, very big tourist hotspot area. So a little bit of background on the team. So there are 3 of us in the team, myself, Kenneth Thomas, who's our construction director, and Richard Andrews, our architecture director. Together we have built and sold 4 houses in Llantwit Major, which is about 10 miles away from Porthcawl. We have a very good track record of selling things off plan. We like starting to market relatively soon after a development is started, with the aim that we can secure some sales off plan. We often increase the price of the sites compared to a RICS valuation to account for things like build cost inflation or just hope value. We might find somebody who'll come along and offer us the asking price.
I'm going to declare my hand. I don't think that the return is high enough for me. I also think that you would struggle with...
What is the return?
19%.
15% annualised.
Yeah, annualised 15%. I think you would struggle to achieve the numbers, and the return is already too low. And so it's not for me, but thank you for your pitch.
I put in the asking price is 850. I put in the projected purchase price at 800,000. When I was discussing an offer this morning with the estate agent, we were talking about an offer starting with a 6. For the build costs, I've put in trying to be conservative. So the numbers on the spreadsheet are probably the worst case scenario. So I'm expecting to buy the site for less than the projected
But what's your
level.
resale value of the houses? What you're targeting
2.7 million GDV.
individually?
So one at £1 million and the other 2 at 750.
Cool. How big is this area and the surrounding similar type areas?
Porthcawl is quite a big town.
What's the population?
I don't know the
Or
population.
thereabouts. What would you compare it to?
Slough?
Okay. I did some brief research on house prices in this area, similar size, but probably slightly higher at the very top end of the market. Now, is that what you're building here? Very top end? Are we talking the best in this location?
We like to target ourselves as a boutique player, and so building very good quality homes, yes.
Okay. Because there's 3 houses for sale in this town that are anywhere close to these prices, and 2 of the 3 are lower than these prices. So that's concerning for me, because you are at the very top end of the market, which has inherent risk associated with it. Also, so far as I know, so far as just Wales as a whole, you're pretty much top end of the market. So top end of the country. And that concerns me a little bit as well in today's market. Because, you could compare it to, for example, central London. It's very different to the rest of London, but it's usually the first one to fall in price substantially in a recession. So that's a little bit concerning. Can you try to give me some comfort around that?
Our recent development in Llantwit Major, the majority, we sold 4 houses.
How recent? When?
We completed the last sale in September last year. 3 of the 4 buyers were cash buyers. They didn't have a mortgage. And at this end of the market, we've often found that people don't have a mortgage. And so it's more about the location and the quality of the property rather than being a mortgage buyer or not. So to give you some comfort, not sure what more I can give you.
No, fair enough. I think just, you mentioned about they've listed the land for 850,
Yep.
but you're going to buy it in the 6s. Does that not translate somewhat to finished houses as well? The prices coming down?
We put in an offer which has been turned down
Right.
at 6s. I'm very conscious that at the moment I don't have an investor, and so I'm hoping that one of you will consider. And I was really expressing my interest at that level.
Yeah.
Before coming to present to you today, I had another deal that I was looking at which fell out of bed yesterday. And I was suggested to suggest this alternative deal. And on that one, we found it was a cash buyer and they were buying the site above the asking price. I think that sites with potential, with good potential in good locations, are seeing very strong demand.
Yeah, okay. Just one last point on the numbers. It seems to me there is relatively strong likelihood that these might not be worth 900, they might just be worth about 800. when you look at what's for sale today, not even sale prices, just list prices, if that happens, your 300 grand profit disappears. So there's zero profit in this deal if these houses are only worth 800 each.
That's
And
where I was coming
for
from.
those reasons, it's not one for me.
Nicholas.
If I was to go and buy £1 million house, it wouldn't be in Wales, but then that doesn't mean it's not for someone. I think it's really hard to say anything different to what the guys have said already. You're just at the most expensive houses on the street, in the town, in the country, and that's a serious concern with your projections. Appreciate what you said about being conservative on some of the costs. I mean, we could also say that the flip side, we are having mass inflation at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen with the war in Ukraine. We don't know what's happening with interest rates, how long they'll stay reasonably high. There's lots of sort of negatives as well that we could counter your conservative numbers, and that's why numbers should always be on the conservative side, so that there's always some risk covered off there. You've got the existing house, that one we can see in the picture actually, that's an existing house in the middle of your plot as well, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
And so I see that being a bit of a painful neighbour when you're building literally on every side of their boundary. Have you had any discussions with them? Who owns that plot? Is it just a homeowner?
It's the person who's selling the land.
Ah, okay. Why aren't they building them themselves?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, maybe
they haven't
you
got
need
the
to go and
appetite.
find the answer to that, because
quite...
maybe you should go and find the answer to that, because it's a bit of a red flag to me that they've got a plot of land on their back door. They would be able to control the build. If they own the land, they can finance it 100%. So it'd be interesting to know what the reason for that is.
In fairness, not everybody thinks like you though, Nicholas.
Yeah. Is there planning
Everyone's a
permission
developer.
on this?
Planning permission exists, yeah.
Did they build that house?
No, that house has been there for a while.
Okay, so they've gone and got this planning on their own land.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
They went to appeal to get it.
So they want it to happen then?
They want it to happen, yeah. Okay, so they're not going to be problem neighbours then. So that's good to know. It's important to know. Yeah, it's not one for me either. I think it's far too risky. If you were building 3 average houses in an average town that's got plenty of demand, and the numbers looked a little bit better than this, in the sort of 20-25% range, it might be of interest. But yeah, not at this level, I'm afraid. Thank you.
I think if you sold out on the previous development last year, I mean, the interest rate environment, a lot of things have changed since then, and projecting to when these will actually be built, things are likely to change even further. I am not interested in developing properties at the upper end of any market anywhere, because I think that's the most at risk at the moment. And I suspect that these owners of this property have gone down a particular route and then decided they are well aware of the risks of building out themselves and are looking for someone else to take on. So I would hold fire and go back to them with an even cheaper offer to buy the land, because it's not worth it, I think, at your intended purchase price. I don't think they'll sell it to anyone at that.
I totally agree. That's exactly it. That they've massaged the asking price of the end product up. I think that's what you're doing to justify the high asking price. You need to drive the price of the land down.
It's not one that I would be interested to fund, and I'd probably take on board the comments that have been made by some very experienced people here that actually, clearly with the CVs and the credibility that all 3 of you have got that are doing this project, I think there's better use for your talent on other sites that I'm sure you can find, either in this area or somewhere else. But I'd kind of stick to a market where that A, you're buying well, B, you can kind of control effectively in some ways the liquidity of the end product, because you're going after more of an area where there's going to be more demand for what you're building.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been an offer for you today, but I hope you take forward some of the points that were raised, and I wish you best of luck. But I think you need to get this at a lot cheaper price, quite frankly.
I think you've got somebody though who's done it before, and there's a decent team around him. If I'm honest, I would have thought that they would have and should have known some of the stuff that we've actually said to them, to him today.
They're thinking with their hearts, not their head.
Yeah, but also I suppose when you think about it from the perspective of he is a developer and a builder, if he was doing this himself, fine. There's enough money in it for him, just not for an investor to come in on a JV basis.
I would even argue against that.
I'd argue against that.
He should JV
I
with the
suppose
owner
my
of
point
the
is
plot and
builders
take
can
the
work
profits,
on
but-
tighter
Yeah,
margins
potentially
than
that's a
developers.
solution. That's a solution. Because really, I feel for a site like that, you shouldn't be paying anything more than 400 to 450 in the current climate. That would be my feeling. His build costs were realistic. You know, he's looking to 185, 190 pound a square foot. His end values were toppy, but they had to be toppy because he's paying so much for the site.
He's massaged the numbers.
The
to
vendor probably
work.
thinks they're super smart, that they've got this
to do,
planning.
yeah.
It's tempting to do. Go,
think a
we
lot
can
of
make a
people-
luxury product, stick another 100 grand on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. It doesn't work like that.
A lot of people are looking at deals and saying, you know, this may have been a great deal 1 year ago, you know, but they're not looking and they're thinking, oh right, this is great, I'm getting this opportunity now. But what they should be looking at is,
I don't think it was a great deal
Well,
1 year ago.
no, I mean to buy that land. I mean,
point.
people are not forward pricing. I think the market's moving from a buyer's market to a seller's market, and people look at deals and they think, well, it may have been worth doing a year ago, but it's not worth doing today with what we know is ahead over the next year. And that's one of the big problems, I think, with this deal. I think even if he did it himself, there's not enough in it.
I think
It
it
could
always worries
easily
me.
turn to
It
nothing.
always worries me when someone says that I'm going to bust the ceiling of what properties achieve in that area with the product that I'm building.
Yeah, good luck to
And
you.
even
gonna
if
do
you
that.
are going
Absolutely.
to do that, forecast it so that you're realistic. You know, you
Absolutely.
can aim for the highest
Absolutely.
market,
But your
do
numbers have got to
figures
work
based
on the
off
lower
something
figures,
more
the realistic
conservative.
market
Yeah.
values for the and
Or at least show that this is worst case scenario.
and what
this is
absolutely, and there was no sensitivity in there at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a certain person that certainly wouldn't be buying at the top of the market.
Now I feel sorry for Walter because he's come in with a relatively simple, straightforward deal. The problem is none of those angels have got any experience in building new properties, and they're worried that build costs are continuing to rise, and they are right about that. But I thought Walter got had a tough gig, and I feel a bit sorry for Walter because if I was there, I think I could have made that deal work somehow between myself and Walter and his team because he's got a good professional team. Sorry, Walter.
Walter, how did you find the experience then?
It was a really interesting experience. Yeah, really, really interesting experience.
I know you didn't get the funding that you wanted today, which is a shame, but did you learn anything from the angels, and is there anything that you might do differently going forwards with the deal?
I was too conservative with my numbers,
Okay.
which meant that the returns were not as high as they wanted. And so it almost just said, well, if returns are not high enough, we're not interested in doing the deal. So I had been very conservative and assumed that we would pay close to the asking price for the site. In reality, I haven't agreed that yet. So maybe I should have been more elaborate on the, put in a lower purchase price, reduce the costs a bit more, and then the returns would have been higher, and so people would have, some of the angels might have invested.
Hi Jason, welcome to Property Elevator.
Thanks for inviting me on the show.
So tell me, where have you come from today?
Today I've come from Cambridge, so not too far to come to London today.
Brilliant. And what are you looking for in terms of an investment partner?
So today I have a commercial pub conversion to 9 residential dwellings. We already own the site, and we've going to front the 360,000 of our own money, and we're looking for the remaining 50%, so another 360 from the angels today for a 10% return on their money.
Excellent. And what is the potential profit then for our angels if they were to invest?
So because we already own the site and we're putting 50% of the capital ourselves, it's going to be 10% for the return on their money. And also the reason why I'm on this show as well, because I have a lot of good connections. I have my own YouTube channel, which is slightly shy of 30,000 subscribers. And I also have my own estate and lettings agent in Cambridge. So I'm hoping to really work with an angel today, grow the sort of working relationship, and hopefully much better projects to invest in the future together as well.
Excellent. So you're going to rival Ranjan a little bit with his YouTube numbers, aren't you?
I'm not going to match him quite yet.
And so what made you apply for the show?
It's really just to sort of get myself out there, build the relationship with an angel, and also to sort of leverage off their experience with a project of this size as well.
And what would it mean to you if you were to get the investment today?
I'll be, of course, absolutely delighted, and yeah, looking forward to sort of working with the angels.
Pleased to meet you, Jason. Looking forward to hearing your pitch.
Thank you for having me on the show. So today, what I have is a commercial pub conversion in Nottingham city centre, right by the Lace Market. So this is a pub conversion into 9 residential dwellings, 8 one-beds and 1 3-bedroom apartments. This has already full planning permission granted. So this project is, this property site is actually owned by myself already. I own it with my uncle in a limited company within a group structure, which having been given guidance by a tax consultant. The GDV, we expect this to be coming in at about 1.58 million. So this is based on 300,000 for the 3-bed, and the 8 one-beds are valued at 160,000 each. This has been verified and checked with local estate agents. We have already sort of made a start on everything. So professional fees is about 62 that we've invested in. For the enabling works for phase 1, we've already partially demolished part of the building and fully stripped out everything. So there's no hidden items involved. So we spent about 120 there already. And at this point, we already have the detailed quote due to come back from the contractors for the final build. We're looking at the remaining left is £720,000. We are going to invest half of this money ourselves, so another 360 from ourselves. And today we are looking to raise funds for another 360 for the remaining 50%. This works out to be £160 per square foot, which we believe is more than very reasonable. And at the same time, because all the hidden items are already sort of unraveled. So we're very sort of confident on that, along with the fact that we also have a local project manager on board as well. So everything has been de-risked. And today, yeah, I know that I can actually potentially get development finance. We've been quoted at 0.85%. But at the same time, I wanted to sort of come forward, meet the angels, and just basically develop a working relationship. So, because at the end of the day, I'm asking for 360,000 for 10% return, which might not be the most attractive, but I'm hoping to sort of start a working relationship on future projects together. Just a bit of background about myself. I have a YouTube channel, slightly shy of 30,000 subscribers, so can't quite match Ranjan's just yet. So we work with a lot of overseas investors in Hong Kong. And I also have my own estate and lettings agent in Cambridge, in central Cambridge. So we work with a lot of small developers as well. So there's a lot of projects going on, and yeah, I'm just hoping that this could be the start of a working relationship with one of the angels.
Great pack, love you, love your experience. Love that you're a YouTuber as well, and you're pushing Ranjan's kind of view levels. What are you at now? About 60,000?
I'll keep pushing.
You haven't got that long to go. So thank you for this. I'm going to actually focus on why you've gone for 1-beds and not 2-beds in this area. I know this area quite well, and from my experience, 2-beds tend to work better, both from rental and resale.
Yeah. We did actually obviously go through pre-app, and we had planning consultants involved. So we actually, this project actually started way back in 2019. So we obviously engaged in planning consultant, worked very closely with the architects, and this was the sort of the plans that were going to maximize our sort of returns. And at the same time, like, it's in a very central Nottingham location, so we're very confident. Obviously, the rentals will go very well.
I agree. I think Hayley's totally wrong with that. I mean, 2-beds is family homes for resale. I think you want to give yourself maximum exit options, don't you? You want to be able to let them out and maximise the rental income. And 1-beds, if they're in demand in such a central location, you don't have a problem selling those either.
Yeah, but in my experience, actually, one beds don't sell as good in this particular area as two beds. And actually, from a rental point of view, there is an oversupply of one beds on the market. That's where the question kind of came in.
Yeah. I get the question. And because our long-term strategy is to basically convert and hold. So we're going to rent it out. And based on the floors, on the last page of the pack, you'll see the drawings. But based on, in total, it's 4,853 square feet. So the side that is being kept, actually, the left-hand side per the drawing, it's the ground floor is going to be the 3-bedroom. And then basically each floor on each side is going to be 1-bedroom. So the 2-bedroom sort of design might not have maximized our sort of return on our investment. So that was the reason why.
I mean, from just quickly looking at it, I would say if you went back to planning, you've got a higher demand for 2 beds, and you would get a higher GDV selling at around 230, 7, 2 beds. So my question was really coming from, did they kind of guide you down the 1-bedroom route?
Yeah, they did sort of encourage us to sort of go down the 1-bedroom route, and ultimately we saw that 1-beds rent very well. Myself in the sort of lettings agency business in Cambridge, the 1-bed's actually very high in demand.
They are
especially
in Cambridge.
Yeah. So especially with like Nottingham as well, like professionals, and obviously there's going to be students. So we sort of see 1-beds as a good sort of market as well.
What's the difference between the sales route that you're focusing on and
well, no, it's both,
actually.
No, but this guy's a lettings agent. So, if someone comes into his door we're looking for a 1-bedroom flat, guess which flat is going to let first?
But you're not a letting agent in this
not
particular
in Nottingham,
area,
no. But obviously we've got very strong contacts. My uncle, who's my sort of partner within this sort of company, he's based in Nottingham, and at the same time, I think ultimately within the property field, because we have so many sort of contacts in Nottingham as well, the letting side we're not too concerned about, because at the end of the day, UK, we are having a housing crisis. The demand is there for the rentals for sure. So on that basis, that we just sort of were quite happy with keeping design and basically just getting started on the build. So right now, everything has been partially demolished and stripped out. This occurred last month, so we're looking to sort of commence a build in May.
But Jason, just going on from Hayley's point for a second, Hayley's point is that in Nottingham, there's an oversupply of 1-bedroom apartments which are unlet.
Right.
Okay, so the key thing with a project, with any property project, is will there be demand for the end product once it's finished? And I think that what Hayley is saying to you is that the demand is greater for 2-bedroom apartments in Nottingham. There's more of a dearth of supply. There's a shortage of supply. So all we're suggesting is just take a step back, think about it, and think about your end market. What's going to be easiest for you to let? What's going to be easiest for you to sell? And if there is the option to reconsider before you go and do the build, because the internal refurbishment of the existing structure should be should be reconfigurable, but once you start building, it's much more difficult to alter things.
I'll definitely take that on board, and I'll go back and sort of research just to level up and do the calculations between the 2 beds. Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, so as we often say, property is a people's game. And you mentioned that you're an estate agent, which is great. I think you mentioned you've done some things before, but if you could just tell us a little bit more about that in relation to what you're planning to do here. What's your experience?
Yeah. So I started in property full-time about 4 years ago. So I've been a residential landlord for about 12 years now myself. My previous working history is actually, I'm a chartered management accountant, so I still hold my qualification for accountancy, working in industry. I've invested in HMOs myself, and through the YouTube, we've built up a lot of strong relationships with investors in Hong Kong. So I helped them convert HMOs as well. Did service accommodation previously as well, and we invested in a lot of single lets for our overseas investors. So year to date, we've probably done over 100 deals for our overseas investors. So,
but for you, have you done something like this before?
Not on this scale, no. Okay. Not on this scale. So, but ultimately, we do own the site, and we put in our own money as well. So, and to deleverage our risk as well, we have a local experienced project manager who's a principal designer with the building surveyor experience to obviously help us along the whole way. We went out to tender and obviously worked with the best local building construction company as well. So we were working very closely, and they were involved in the partial demolition and the strip out. So we're just looking to basically commence in May.
Do you own it cash?
Sorry?
Do you own it cash?
Yeah, we own it. Okay. So actually, going back to the relationship game, my uncle, basically, he owned the building previously in his personal name. He didn't really know how to sort of utilize it, etc. And basically, when I started in property full-time about 4 years ago, I came on board, basically helped with the whole process of gaining planning permission, etc. And he's sort of kindly basically said, look, we'll just sort of transfer it into a limited company, we own it half, and basically, yeah, we started from there, really.
I actually have a question around the large retaining wall at the back of the property.
This bit.
Yeah. So from the photograph that we're looking at and from the pack, that looks like a significant potential challenge, insofar as drainage, surface water coming up the back of the buildings on the hill above. Have you looked into?
Yes. All structural engineers' designs, the drainage has been looked at. So we've obviously spent money on that, and there's no issues. The only slight issue, because it's the Nottingham Caves actually. Okay. So when it used to be ran as a pub, they used to actually have bands playing in there. So we're keeping that. So it's more like a sort of communal area to make use of the caves. The only slight issue, which we're going through planning, and it's not really going to hold anything back, is the clearance on this fig tree, which is overhanging into our boundaries. So this is one of two self-propagating fig tree in the country, outside of the other one in Kew Gardens.
Lucky you.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, that's developer's worth nightmare. One of only two in the UK.
Exactly. Yeah,
I'm running a mile when someone says that to me, I tell you.
And yeah, we're just going through the council now just to get clearance, just to trim it back. But other than that, there's no issue with the drainage.
When do you expect a decision from the local authority on being able to cut that tree back?
We're getting a arboriculturist on board as well, so they're helping with us. So we're looking basically, within the next month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, we contacted them a couple of months ago as well.
I mean, the good news is, Scott, they've got planning on this, right?
Yeah,
so
full planning already.
It would be pretty harsh of the council then to not give planning to sympathetically trim even the most protective of trees. So I think, provided you've got a good arboriculturalist to work his magic.
Say that again.
Arboriculturalist. Say it 3 times.
So you've discharged conditions on the planning as well?
Yes, yeah.
So one of the conditions presumably would be related to that fig tree.
That fig tree wasn't on it, on the initial conditions. It was only once we got chatting to the neighbours, they were saying, just be careful of that fig tree. And then we dug further and spoke to the architect.
Hopefully you didn't dig around the fig tree.
That didn't get flagged up initially. So.
Is there a TP1 order on the
There's
fig
no
tree?
Tree protection.
Not protected?
Yeah. This one would have, I'm guessing it would have, but it never really got flagged up when we went through the whole planning process.
Is it a conservation area?
It's in a conservation area.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Let's take a fig leaf off some of the numbers. 780,000 or something.
720.
720 for the build cost. Now this is a blend of new build and existing build.
Yes.
Looks a bit light, doesn't it? Because you've spent 120 grand.
120 was total for the surveys, so surveys, consultants, etc. That was 62. And the 58 was to demolish this side. This has already been brought down, and the full strip out of inside. So everything has been unraveled. And we're looking basically for the detailed quote to come back this week, hopefully.
So the three, what happens if it goes over?
Sorry?
Who would fund it if it went over?
Well, we would effectively, bring in more finance, which, to be honest, I'm sure within our network, we'll bring in the extra finance. So that's not going to be too much of a concern. And at the same time, we're deleveraging our risk again. So with the project manager on board, he's obviously going through the whole contract administration, and there's a penalty if the contractor is to go overboard. I think we had a discussion last week, and we're looking at about, it worked out about 700, so about £800 per flat for the penalty per month. So effectively, we're covering any sort of rates that we're going to be borrowing.
You mentioned in the beginning of your pitch, you're looking for a loan,
yeah,
as opposed to a partner.
Yeah.
So, and why really have you come to us? Because
well picked up on, because I don't think that's interesting any of us.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure that's the case. to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
It's to be honest, I really hesitated as well. I was like, yeah, they're not going to be interested. I think my main priority is really to obviously build the relationship and to sort of put myself out there, let you guys sort of know that I'm doing this project. And ultimately, if you believe that I'm investable, then even if this project isn't workable, there's future opportunities. And as I've seen with other sort of other developers as well within our sort of CPA group as well. I'm always a believer that, yeah, if you put yourself out there, you never know what might happen, and just to have the conversation, and because of my sort of connections with
well done
overseas.
for that. It's great to put your foot forward. Nicholas.
As a couple of the guys have highlighted, that retaining wall is a construction concern. There's a cave there, there's a fig tree, there's a few sort of construction-based things to overcome, which is great, because I like a challenge. I've overcome far worse. But in terms of your build costs and things like that, how have you split between, say, the existing build and the new build in terms of sort of the construction cost?
Yeah.
How much higher is the new build element that you've quoted?
Basically, the construction company gave us a detailed quote. Okay. Well, they're going to come back with the detailed quote this week.
Okay, you don't know that exactly yet.
Yeah. So
okay.
But then now that everything's unraveled, there's no reason why whatever quote they come back with is going to sort of deviate too far from it.
Yeah.
So we'll factor in. To be honest, like some after sort of stripping everything out, they have commented that the sort of beams aren't actually as bad as it initially was anticipated. So they're actually, I'm hoping it'll be slightly less than the 720 that they're coming in at.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of drainage, you've had a drainage survey,
yeah.
And that runs into mains. Has that been CCTV?
Yeah. All the surveys costs are sort of within the package as well. I've sort of broken it down.
And you would, from what you've just said, it appears that you would be open to other offers, not just a 10% for the money. A bit
absolutely.
more creative you would consider.
Yeah. Okay. I think being creative and being flexible. The main thing is really building that working relationship, and then maybe not in this project, but then there might be future projects to work together.
Okay, so he's open to other offers apart from loan offers. Who wants to be first with their creative ideas?
I mean, the 10% return is about as bad as one of Ranjan's jokes, but just from the perspective of being an experienced investor and developer, that just devalues us completely. We want value for money on that experience, if that makes sense. I think if your numbers stack up, it's a good deal, but there would need to be a better return in it. And I'm trying to work out what that return should be. I think the build costs are probably a bit light, and I think therefore key to putting in that £360,000 is, let's say they work out to be 300 grand more than you've estimated, which I think they might be. Mm-hmm. Where does that extra 300 grand come from? I think you kind of answered that question, but let's say, for example, just to reframe it, I give you the 360,000 and we agree a deal on what I'm getting for that money. And you do need an extra 300 on top of that. Are you absolutely certain you can get that money from elsewhere and that's not going to affect my return?
Yeah, absolutely. And even with like the development finance, they're going to ask for a first charge, which we'll obviously happily honour, because we're confident about the build, and obviously we've got the team to sort of work together to actually mitigate those risks.
And your exit here is to refinance onto a buy-to-let single ASTs. And what do you expect to be able to refinance at?
If we refinance, I'm looking. By the time we pay back the investor, the angel, we don't need to pull out. We don't need to pull out everything. We just need to pull out what we need to pay back the investor. So we know that obviously there's a big. The GDV is coming in at 1.58. So paying back the 320 shouldn't really be too much of a concern for us. Like at the end of the day, we're putting our own sort of capital in. So obviously the angels' money is more important, and we're going to repay them back with their interest first.
Okay. Well, I'll make an offer. I'll give you the £360,000 on the basis that's the maximum I'm giving you, but I want 30% of my money.
Right.
So a loan,
Yeah,
30% interest on
yeah.
it. Okay.
So my issue with this deal is that it's a refinance and not a resale. Based off the basic research that I've done, I think there's an oversupply for rental property, one-bedroom rental properties. So I think that's the sticking point for me. So I would be prepared to make an offer, but my offer would be subject to going back to planning, getting 7 2-beds, and actually selling.
And then
I
what
want
would your-
25%.
How are you going to get 7 2-beds when there's only 8 1-beds there, and you can't double the size of the?
Well, if you do
There's
it,
1 3-bed.
8 1-beds, 1
Yeah.
3-bed. Yeah, but they're quite big, aren't they?
Total 4853
Yeah.
square feet.
With a good architect,
Yeah.
you will be able to get 7 2-beds.
Yeah.
I know that they will sell better. I know that they will rent better.
Yep.
So you're protecting your downside, your exit, if
Yeah,
your
yeah.
primary strategy to sell doesn't work.
Okay.
And I'd want 25%.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll let Scott go as a new angel. I don't mind waiting
Thank
till
you, Nick.
last.
You are very backable. You're based in Cambridge. We do a lot of business in Cambridge. In fact, we do a lot of business right the way from Nottingham all the way across towards the east of the country, and Cambridge and even to Norwich. I like the fact that you have not said it in part of your pitch, but you're a chartered management accountant. You invest a lot in yourself. You invest a lot in your education in terms of the property courses that you've been on. I see that this is a debt deal rather than an equity deal, going back to Hayley's offer and going back to Paul's offer. Those offers really are equity offers rather than debt. And I see this as a debt deal.
Yep.
So I'm going to make you an offer, okay? One of the things that you've not said with the development finance that you've been offered is whether there's any arrangement fees or exit fees. Okay, so let's assume that there are fees involved. So the reality is that the offer that's been made to you is probably nearer the 12 or 13%. Okay, so I'm going to make you an offer for all of the money, but not just all of the money. I'll also include in there that if your costs go up by 100, 125 grand, okay, which is possible given the location, given the issues with the wall behind it, and the way that build costs have increased more recently, that we will also be able to increase your facility in the event that you need more money. Okay, and in terms of the pricing, we will charge you 1% a month, okay, which is 12% per annum in total, which I think smashes any other offers out of the park, as well as the development finance offers that you've already received.
Yep. Perfect.
And so I don't even think it's worth Nick speaking.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, he's got some balls coming in here, hasn't he, on his first series, chucking those kind of comments out. And I don't blame you. That's a good offer. But I actually do agree with you, Scott, that this is a debt-led deal. And I think it should be restructured as such to maximise the value for the site, for investors, and the ability to get this built quickly and move on to another site, actually. So I'm looking actually one step ahead of all the other angels, which wouldn't be the first time that I've been able to have more foresight than they have. But I'll make you an offer. I'm going to make you, oddly, 2 offers.
You only get one.
You only get one.
Well, I'm offering on the second deal that we haven't done yet, guys. Come on, try and keep up. I know I'm trying to educate you on how to
I
make
didn't get
offers.
that perk.
No, exactly. Keep
One
up.
option. One option. Keep it brief. One option.
It's sort of all wrapped up in the same offer, but I would rather go into business with you a bit longer term. That's what I'm saying. I want to talk about future deals. I'm known for helping people build their businesses, helping them raise extra large equity finance if needed. You've got a perfect customer base for that, which we can tap into using my experience and knowledge in this country. And I think as a sort of more of a joint venture future could be really exciting. So my offer's based upon the bigger picture. On this deal, I'm happy to take 33% of the deal, which is essentially partnering with you and your uncle. But after this deal, I'd like to continue that SPV as a joint venture at 40% share. So it'll be 60% in your favour, 40% in ours, to go and grow the business much further.
Right. Cool.
But I'll take less on this deal because you've already bought it and you're already going. So I think you deserve more of the equity share on this first deal.
Okay.
So let's see whether it's going to be a clean sweep of offers from all the angels. I agree with what everyone said. It's a debt deal, this one, not a equity deal. And the reason for that is because you've de-risked it. You've already owned the site and you've got the planning and you're ready to go and you're stripped out. So at this stage, there's minimum risk for people to come
Nick's
in.
trying to take equity.
He's trying to take some equity.
Joint venture, Paul. Joint venture.
All right.
You've got a variety of offers here.
Potato.
We wouldn't need the equity on future deals.
Good to know, thank you.
I think you made a good pitch. It's very interesting that you own the site and you're ready to go. Listen, my offer is very, very simple to you. We'll lend you the money. It's basically a debt-led deal for the build, but alongside that, mentoring, guidance, and the help and support you need to get this to happen. But in exchange for that, we would be looking for 25% of the 25% return on the debt that we're putting in. There you have it. You have a clean sweep of offers. You've got a pure debt-led 1% a month type of arrangement from Scott. You've got 30% return, but capped at 320k down
360.
from Paul. Was it 360? 360. You've got a basically wants your business. A third on this one.
I'm going to build his whole business, Ranjan. I'm going to build his whole business and make him highly successful and try and beat out all the bad training he's had.
and we've got a, well, go back to the drawing board with a slightly different scheme.
A better scheme.
And a return of about 25%. So it's quite a bit to think about.
Yeah.
Or none of the above.
And in fairness, I have just built a massive retaining wall and removed 2 fig trees.
the only 2 in the UK.
Yeah.
It's self-propagating.
Do your due diligence on that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted that obviously you guys sort of have made me an offer. I think part of the reason why I came on was obviously to actually push myself as well, to see if and hoping that that an angel would want to invest in our projects. Obviously, like, because we own the site already and we're so far down the project, I guess part of the reason was to actually sort of create new working relationships with you guys. And on that basis, we wouldn't really want to give away much of the equity. So yeah, I think with Scott, he's obviously given me the sort of best offer in terms of not giving away any of the equity. I'll definitely go back to checking on the 2 beds.
Oh, I'll charge you for that.
I'll be delighted. Yeah, if Scott, if we could sort of work together.
That's fantastic. I look forward to working with you.
Definitely.
Nice to meet you. It's a great deal, but I think that it's really important that Jason takes on the work and the research that you've looked into in terms of the demand for 2 beds versus 1 bed. And that's certainly something that I'll be working with him on to make sure that he can maximise not just the GDV, the end value of the property, but also actually the demand for the end product, which actually will improve hopefully the liquidity of the product when it's finished.
The problem with that is you've got to go back to planning, though, haven't you? You know, it's another 6-month, 9-month delay.
Yeah, but I think it'd be worth it, and you'd be increasing the GDV
he wants to
as
just
well.
build that, though, doesn't he?
And there's
You'd
no
probably
reason
lower your costs.
and
because
there's no reason why you
less
can't
units.
put the services in, the utilities in, some of the footings in, just whilst you're running that process in parallel. And there's lots of work that can be done.
But from a risk point of view, this is a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
No existing borrowing on it. You're just lending on half the build cost. So whatever he does with it, you're still going to be preserving your capital.
You know, the bottom at the end of the day, if his costs do overrun and his GDV comes down, you know, let's say his costs go from 360 to 720 to 900, even $1 million. Okay, that stands us in at £500,000 on a GDV of somewhere between, I know we said 1.58, but let's take a worst case scenario, it might be 1.4 to 1.6. Okay, from a lending point of view, it's still a great deal to do. Delighted to have done it.
In reality, he wasn't going to accept their offers, was he? He's too far progressed.
Well, he wasn't going to accept yours, Paul. 30% return.
He wanted 33% equity.
Interest rates, I've heard, are going up, but not that badly.
Oh, are you an angel or a loan shark, I think?
Well, no, look, in fairness, I wanted 30% on my cash. You wanted 33% of his company. That's a lot worse.
Yeah, but I was going to spend the time to build his company.
And in fairness, I would have helped him out as well.
Well, sharks is a completely
Well, that's
other
the
show,
thing.
isn't it?
Scott, are you going to be able to help him out with that?
Yeah, we've got lots and lots of customers who are, we're on multiple projects with them, 17, 18, 19, 20 different projects. And we've seen them grow and create wealth for themselves, their families, and actually learn through their journey. And we help people on that journey. And that's what our business is all about.
Well, what does John make of it? I mean, he's not a big fan of being a bank. Let's find out.
Jason's obviously very plausible, very experienced. They've bought the property already. I think everybody wanted to do this deal, and I would as well. I was frustrated that I'm not there to do it. He chose Scott. It's nice to see Scott warming up to the challenge of being an angel. It's not easy. You're going into that environment with four very experienced property dealers, investors, been at it a long time. And Scott, of course, comes from a financial background, banking background, and he's come over to the dark side. So it takes a bit of getting used to, but well done, Scott. I think you've got a good deal there.
Well, we've had an amazing Series 6 of Property Elevator. Hayley and Scott fitted in like a glove, and they did some pretty impressive deals. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. I'm Elizabeth Warburton, and you've been watching Property Elevator.